Is it a system of play? Playing with 3-3-2-2-2. We've got an extra man. We definitely won't get away with that as much as I would like to. Yeah, look how baggy our tracksuits are. Well, I was definitely thinner then. I think Dio's tracksuit's just too big for him, actually. So in that period, I'd convinced Aaron to reverse his retirement decision. I also then had to inform Aaron that he wouldn't be the captain going forward. I haven't been the captain for a long time, and you know, that was a conversation, you know, with Stephen. I think, as you see here, we just had a walk and talked things through. And I think within that squad, there's always a level of respect between the players. So I think Stephen obviously had enormous respect for Aaron. So like, you're always a little bit conscious of that when you're replacing someone in a role or in a position as the captain. But you know, the thing for me was, you know, that was probably the start of, you know, our relationship development as a manager and a captain. And you know, it's interesting actually, you know, just looking back to that. Look, Stephen looks so young there. I probably forget that he was still quite young to be a captain, although he had, you know, a huge amount of international experience at that point as well. That game there was brilliant because obviously off the back of Euro 2016, you're conscious that you can maintain that kind of level, and we were in a tough group. But that game there, we were in a really good run at that time. I think we beat Czech Republic at home 2-0. Stephen had played great on the night. And obviously this game here is my final game against Holland. I'm not big on going on the pitch after the game. It's not really my thing. It's the modern day managers can't wait to get on the pitch. I think they can't wait, you know, they love being on at the end. And that was one of the times I went on the pitch, and I did obviously sort of thank the fans for the 8 years, because I didn't know whether I'd have another game back in Belfast. And Stephen, obviously, you know, that's him. I'm consoling him, but he's consoling me and as well in that one. So it's a nice picture. That's a picture that I have in my house as well. This is the Greece game. Yeah, that's after the game. The emotions are extremely high, and that's Stephen obviously after the first goal. You know, I think everyone knows what his gesture meant in relation to, you know, I think he's thinking about his mum at that point in time, and what performance from the whole team and from him especially, and just qualifying and what it meant, you know. So yeah, it's as good a moment as you could have in football, that I think, to be honest. As games go, like, it's hard. That'll be a difficult game regardless of how long I'm in football, I think, to top in terms of, you know, the closeness that you feel with all the players, but particularly with your captain, that feeling of, you know, that sense of achievement we had at that minute in time. Yeah, that's Helsinki with the sign to France. I think Davo had just recovered from his hangover at that point in time. I'm not sure if his performance in Helsinki matched his performance in against Greece. Listen, it was the biggest night out ever after we beat Greece, but the players, they quickly refocused, and you know, they were determined to do well in that. And then, you know, I remember, like, we had a great night in Helsinki after that, but I also remember in that game Jim Shaw coming in, who was the president at the time, coming in, speaking to the players and letting them know all the things that they had achieved. I don't think the players totally realised that, you know, that they had been, you know, the first Northern Ireland team to win a group, the first time that, you know, a top 5 team had finished top of a group in any European qualifying. So, you know, he spoke extremely well, and you know, the players appreciated that as well. And this is just on the training pitch. So we're, you know, match day -1, we're in the stadium in Lyon, so we're just talking. Those were conversations. God knows how many conversations I've had with Stephen like that there, and it would generally be like, okay, this is, how do you feel about things? How do you feel about, you know, how we may press or not press, or what the game plan is? And sometimes it's better to do that on the pitch than, you know, call a player into a meeting room and make it more formal. So I always kind of like to do that individually on the pitch. And I remember, it might have been, yeah, it was before the Wales game. We had played a game. In the game, there was a penalty, so we gave the penalty, and Stephen took it and he missed it. Goalkeeper saved it. And then we did a penalty shootout, so for all the players. So we made them walk from the halfway line in 2 teams. And Stephen missed again in the shootout. And I remember having a conversation with him similar to that, probably saying, like, you know, sometimes it's a bigger man that steps away from the penalty than takes it. But he was determined. No, he says, I'll be all right. But, you know, as it happened, we didn't get a penalty. But those were conversations that obviously we've had over the years about different things around the team. I would rely on him, how the players feeling, how they feel about things. And having that type of relationship means that those open and at times, forthright conversations, because it's not all like sugar-coated. Sometimes both ways that, both the two individuals can accept those conversations and obviously move forward for the benefit of the team. Obviously Ross and Callum, that's and Stephen in the middle of them. Yeah, Ross is probably very prevalent because I think he himself has said it, that it was Stephen in the brief period that he had in charge of Rangers that he gave Ross an opportunity, and that in itself is brilliant, because there'd be a special link for Ross McCausland with Stephen Davis there. With Callum, that's me obviously consoling Callum after the Denmark game, where we have the euphoric moment where we think he scored, and then the cruelty of VAR for disallowing it. I think Stephen's influence and legacy on all those young players will be immense. Probably even, there's a lot of players in our squad now who have actually benefited from that experience of being around Stephen Davis. And I'm not talking about just the young players. I'm talking about players like Paddy McNair, because when he came into the squad, he was a young player. Daniel Ballard, even like people, even like Corey, for example. So like when Corey Evans would have come into the international squad, Stephen's maybe 5 years older than Corey, 5 or 6 years. So Corey coming into the squad at a 19-year-old, David was 25. So he would have a huge influence over even the likes of Corey, Ollie Norwood, Stuart Dallas, all those people that went on to have really, really great international careers, 50 plus caps, played in major tournament. Like Stephen was at the core of all of that. In many ways, the same way as when Stephen came into the squad, Aaron Hughes was there. I came into the Northern Ireland squad as an 18-year-old. I had the benefit of someone like Norman Whiteside and Dave McCreary and Mal Donachie, talking to me and helping me. So I think that legacy will go on. There's no doubt. The idea of Stephen Davis, sitting in a hotel a couple of days before a game, having a coffee with Shea Charles or Conor Bradley or Isaac Price or whoever those. What young player can't benefit from that? To get the opportunity to sit with Stephen Davis and to just know that he's there to help and guide, it'll be invaluable to Northern Ireland football going forward.